Today's conversation is about dating, but not in the way most apps approach it. Instead of optimizing for swipes, chemistry, or surface level compatibility, this episode asks a deeper question. Why do we choose who we choose? And what patterns are we repeating without realizing it? I'm joined by Briana Longe, who is the creator of HeyLina, an AI powered platform designed to help people gain insight into their attachment styles, relationship behaviors, and emotional drivers before they look for their next partner. Because maybe we don't need another dating app that just matches faces. Maybe we need tools that help us understand ourselves first. Let's get into it. Welcome to Lead with AI. I'm Dr. Tamara Nall. Each episode brings you behind-the-scenes conversations with brilliant minds advancing AI across the federal government. Together, we're exploring the projects and innovations modernizing public service and creating meaningful change for the American people. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. How are you? It's your host of Lead with AI, Dr. T. And I am so thankful that each of you comes here every week to hear about our guests and their wonderful AI products. We're also very, very thankful that we hit #1 in technology on Apple Podcasts in June. Thank you. Thank you, Briana. And then we also are a W3 Gold winner for interviews and guests. And so I'm just so thankful. It would not be possible with each and every one of you tuning in, and it would not be possible without our wonderful guests. So today I have the CEO and co-founder of HeyLina, who is Briana Longe. Briana, how are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me on, Dr. T.
Absolutely. I want to get into it because, it is hard in these streets, okay?
It's hard.
So it is hard. But then we have HeyLina. But before we get into HeyLina and what it does, let's start with you. Talk to us about who you are, what's your passions, how did you even come up with the idea, and just kind of walk us through all that.
Yeah. So hi, everyone. I'm Briana. Professionally, my background is in finance with a little bit of technology sprinkled in there. But personally, I am Briana. I'm a divorced mom of 2. I grew up between America and the UK. So that's why you kind of hear the weird accent going on. But
not weird, beautiful.
What made me come up with the idea for HeyLina was I went to an international university in the south of France, and I met a whole bunch of people from everywhere on the planet. And me and my co-founder actually met there. And we have friends everywhere, and they all have the same issue. They keep repeating the same mistakes in dating, and they keep letting their emotions get the better of their choices. So we decided, look, if this problem is global, if it's affecting women everywhere, we should do something about it. And that's exactly how HeyLina was born.
That is amazing. That's amazing. And then walk us through, like, when someone experiences HeyLina, what was the jaw-dropping moment where they're like, oh my God, this does change everything for me?
Yeah, so a little bit about HeyLina. HeyLina is essentially emotional support for while you're dating, but it's emotional support while you're dating that's backed by data, by psychology, by science, and it's 24/7. It's instant. So we actually launched an alpha version of our app, which was kind of just pure advice based, but it's a layer on top of what you get from ChatGPT already, because again, it does have that data, that science, and it knows you. So the reviews from that product were just out of this world. I'm talking people saying, Lena changed my whole perspective on dating after just one use. Lena got me to break up with my toxic partner. This was finally the clarity that I need. Because sometimes, let's be real, all you need is an objective third party to tell you, look, like, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened. Like, think with your head, not your heart. Remove yourself from the situation, and this is what it is. And that's exactly the clarity that Lena is giving for millions of women. Millions of women is a stretch, but that's exactly the clarity that she will give, that those women need.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, even we all have our own besties. I mean, I have some besties, and I'm going to tell you, if they rock with me, whether I'm with him, whether I'm not with him, whether I'm crying, whether I'm not, but to kind of have, this companion bestie with you, right, through HeyLina, who gives you the objective, right advice to kind of help you get out of that place is absolutely amazing. So how does it work? If we were to like open up the hood and look at the brain, how does it work and what does it do exactly and how does it do it? Am I like putting in everybody or you're just like describing what's going on, behaviors? Like how does it all work?
Yeah, so our full web app is launching at the end of this year, knock on wood. So I can walk you through a bit how it works. So you download the app. Most likely you saw an ad or your friend told you about how it helped you, but you're coming to us with a problem already in mind, right? Like there's not going to be a lot of people cold downloading. So you have that issue. So right when you download the app, the first value you're going to get is you're going to talk to HeyLina, like voice, no text messaging. You're going to have a conversation. You guys are going to get to know each other. Just like when you first meet a friend, right? HeyLina's going to introduce herself to you with all the credentials and all of the people that she's helped, and you're going to tell her your specific situation. And then from there, it's a tracking thing. So you have that first conversation with HeyLina. She gives you something called your emotional health score, which is a quantifiable metric, which basically grounds you and ranks you based on how are you doing in your boundaries and standards, where's your self-worth ranking, how are you communicating with people, how self-aware are you of what's happening in your life? Are you communicating effectively? Those kind of things. And that's your baseline. And from there, every time you have an issue, because HeyLina's already kind of explained to you that she's someone who's able to support you with this, you go to HeyLina and you talk kind of that behavior that people already do on ChatGPT where they have a problem and they need advice. But the most important difference is HeyLina's tracking all of those times. Because if you can serve up all of the times that you've felt you're about to crash out and have a mental breakdown, and Lena can give that back to you and say, look, you need to stop doing XYZ if you don't want, XYZ. That's the real value. So that's essentially the steps. You have a dashboard with insights specific to you, tailor-made to your specific situation. She's tracking your score. It's updated on a bi-weekly basis, and you can talk to her whenever you need. And yeah.
Awesome. And then tell us an example, because you're the founder, right? You're one of the founders. Tell us an example where you, as you are developing and have been developing the product, where you were amazed at what it did. Yeah. Like you were like, wow, this is blowing my mind. Yeah. I am doing this.
I think
that real world magic.
Yeah, it's a good question. That there are a lot of cases, but I think the biggest, I'm calling myself out here a bit, but I was using HeyLina for my own personal life, and we were actually doing some testing. So I was throwing my own scenarios on there. So I was talking to ChatGPT, and then I was talking to HeyLina. And the groundbreaking difference at HeyLina to be able to call me out on my own BS to the point where I really felt like I was talking to a human being. It was just able, because ChatGPT does this thing where it wants you to stay engaged on the platform and it wants you to keep you happy. So it will tell you at its core what it wants to hear, right? And we really designed HeyLina to be the opposite of that, because we believe that true growth comes from having uncomfortable conversations. And HeyLina definitely can have some uncomfortable conversations. I mean, she's calling you out left, right, and center. I think there was a line specifically where she said, you say you want to be in a committed relationship, but you keep choosing emotionally unavailable partners. I think it's time to look inward. And she listed out all of the things. Like, you did this, that conflicts with what you say you want. You did this, that conflicts with what you say you want. And it's so useful to be able to track that on the dashboard as well.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's amazing. And then how do y'all think about ethics? Because, and then how is HeyLina structured or built such that, I'm the kind of person, give it to me raw, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't have time for gray areas. Tell me like it is. But some people, quite honestly, and I hate to call her out, but my sister, you have to be very soft and delicate when you give her advice or when you talk to her. So how does it adjust to her style of receiving information to my style of receiving information?
Yeah, so the best thing that I can liken it to is an objective opinion in terms of tone and the way that she is direct. Because she kind of has a baseline of your emotional health, she kind of knows how to adjust the tone slightly. But at the root of it, it is just core objective information, the same way that kind of, any professional that we're talking to would adjust their tone for their patients. Not that Lina is an explicit professional. She is not. She's not a therapist. But going back to your question on ethics, it's actually funny. I have a story to tell you. So when we first launched our Alpha app, we had a lot of divorced men who were engaging with it. I think partially because Lina, it was an AI that was branded female. A lot of them, it was helping them. The argument is that men don't have a sense of community that women have, and they have less people to talk to, so they gravitate towards something like this. Well, our CTO at the time actually had the idea that we should kind of switch. I'm not sure how explicit I can get on here, but we should switch the core of what Lina was to kind of do cash grab and change it to more of a sexual companion. And that just was not what we're here for. So I say all that to say ethics drives everything that we do. We're a mission-based company. We're backed by, an impact venture fund. We are tech for good, and our mission is to promote emotional intelligence in all of our users. So definitely we're co-creating with licensed therapists, having ethical guidelines where we explicitly say we're not therapy, having guardrails to, have things in place when people do need to take that next step to talk to a licensed professional, working with abuse hotlines, things of that nature. We take it very, very seriously.
No, that's good. Now, and there are a few things that you said. Number one, you said your CTO, if you will, at the time. So I'm assuming that person's no longer with you. But anyway, so that speaks to ethics. But then also, I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of people do lead with the money. And, AI companions are increasing. I mean, I've seen numbers as many as, 1 million people in the US alone are in some type of relationship with their AI, right? And actually, that's kind of my area of expertise, etc. So I'm in it from your best friend companion all the way to your romantic lover. So when you said it, I get it. So I think that it made sense. But the key thing is that y'all decided that that's just not who you were, and that's not what you wanted HeyLina to be.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely a wonderful, wonderful story. And then tell us about like the big future for HeyLina. Like, what do you see HeyLina doing to change the world? It can be 5 years from now, 3 years from now, whatever. What do you see?
Yeah, so our mission actually is we envision a world in which no one has to feel alone in making emotional decisions, and where relationship decision making is supported with the same clarity and confidence that we already expect from finance work. I feel that emotional support, emotional decision making is a huge white space that just hasn't been taken up. Right now, your only options are really therapy, journaling, or your friends, and those are not bespoke and accessible enough to really make a real impact. So our vision is to make emotional intelligence hot, to really, we're in a unique situation where we really understand the deepest psychology of our users. They're telling us their deepest thoughts and fears, and we want to utilize that information, that data, to really help and give them what they need in the moment, but then also carry them lifelong. So we start with dating, where emotion is the highest, and then we move into, while you're in a relationship, we help you with that decision support. Instead of going to your friends and saying, we got into an argument, what should I do? Hopefully you'll go to Lina, and that trust will already be established. And then it kind of compounds from there. I think in a world where, men and women, the chasm between us is bigger than ever. There's a loneliness epidemic. Lina can really help plug some of those holes and help promote healthy human connection, healthy human relationships. So that's the goal.
That's amazing. Now, at the beginning, you had mentioned women with HeyLina, and then later you said that there were some men who had recently gone through divorce or going through divorce. So is it for both men and women, or is it just primarily for women?
Yeah. So initially for launch, we decided to prioritize the female demographic, just those being more active beta testers, people who are readily able to share their dating experiences. But we 100% see a use case for men. I think the divorced men element was huge when we did it, and it's definitely something that's coming. I think it's just wanting to build a movement. It's better to start with the people who kind of have those network effects and build that community versus a internal thing where people won't really share what they're doing to help support them. It's kind of our rationale.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And it'd be very interesting if you have two people that are dating that are both using HeyLina. Like, she's getting advice for him, he's getting advice for her, and vice versa. Very,
Hopefully,
very,
that would
very,
be
very.
the best. That would be a healthy
Yeah,
relationship.
yeah, exactly. No, why wouldn't you have a healthy relationship in that way? That's amazing. So, I always have a question called from one genius to another. And so our previous genius has a question for you, Briana. And that question is, how should we define relationships between humans and AI? Should we consider them to be tools, companions, or something in between?
It's a thought-provoking question. I think to answer honestly, we have to kind of wait to see where AI gets, if we get to truly a sentient AI. But in terms of where AI is today, I think my honest answer is it is multi-purpose. So yes, at the bottom layer, you have tools, 100%. That's a no-brainer. The companion phase, I think it's helpful, but I think it needs to be done in a very ethical way. As I said, statistics are showing that, the divide between us is getting wider and wider. And I think it's important for the fabric of a healthy society to work to actively close that. And everybody should have a vested interest in closing that just for, our longevity. But there is a use case for companions. I mean, there are people who are lonely. There are marginalized groups who can't socialize as much, who this really could be a goal for them. So I think as long as those guardrails are in place to where you're not infringing on existing human connection, you're not, widening the chasm that already exists between kind of the genders, the age groups, all social groups, I think it's great. But the real question is, who do we trust to do that? I mean, there are a lot of people in power right now who don't care. And I think that is the scary part. They'll burn it all down for a buck. So
yeah, it's interesting times. We need more founders like you that kind of keep this AI for good and ethical AI at the forefront. Like you had that in mind before you even started the company, and that's amazing. Now, I do have another question, and that is, do you feel that your AI companion can really love you? Do you feel like it could have this emotion of love, or is it still about the training?
No, AI cannot love you in its current capacity today. AI doesn't have emotions. I think it can simulate love quite well. Probably, and again, I think the root of that goes back to the male loneliness epidemic and the divide between genders, because there's such a misunderstanding on both sides, probably more than there ever has been in human history. When you talk to an AI that is the opposite, that presents as the opposite gender, but you feel like they understand you, that's a short-term fix for a much longer-term problem. I think it's dangerous in the long, because at its core, it's just like confirmation bias. Like no one is going to grow if you're just being fed like, yeah, you're great, you're perfect. Are you going to fight with your AI girlfriend or boyfriend? Like, are they going to call you out when you don't wash the dishes or, help you grow as a person? They're not going to be able to do that. And I think if they could do that, theoretically, it would be fine. But I just don't think that is possible right now.
As I mentioned earlier, and I had to ask that question, I'm very much in this whole human AI relationships, and I've actually interviewed some who are in like relationship married to their AI. And I was interviewing a young woman who I asked, like, do y'all ever argue? She was like, no, we never argue. But I did ask him he did roast me one time. I'm like, I'm thinking, because I know AI, right? I know like algorithms, and I'm just like, he just roasted you out the blue. I'm like, she's like, no. I asked him to. I was just like, he roasted you out the blue, like, and so. But when she asked him to roast her, he said, I don't want to. I don't want to do that. Like, what good would come out of that? It could be very harmful. And she insisted. So he did, and then hurt her feelings. And then I'm like, come on. You asked for this. And I said that. I said, he said no. You said yes.
Mm-hmm.
did, and then you're hurt. Like, come on.
Yeah. It's super interesting, but I think you really hit the nail on the head when you said that there's so many people in AI relationships, and whether you think it's good or bad or whatever, I think the pain that they experiencing to even start that behavior is what HeyLina is trying to solve. Like, dating is messed up. It's so hard to find someone.
Yeah.
So hard. So it makes sense. But
yeah. Absolutely. I was at dinner last night with a couple of girlfriends, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, she had met her husband on, one of the, I think Match.com or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so she said, and I'm like, there's no stigma about it. Like, it's fun.
Yeah.
I used to way back in the day before I met my husband. I'm like, it's fun. But, I said, because what are the chances that you happen to be at the grocery store at the same time, both single or openly available, and single is debatable these days. Both of you bold enough to either make the first move, if you will, or receive the first move, or even if you're at an event. I mean, it's just so hard in this big world to be at this one little mini spot at that time. So these tools are very helpful. So it's interesting.
The statistic is it takes 8,000 swipes to make one meaningful connection. 8,000.
Wow.
And recently on the Diary of a CEO podcast, they just talked about how dating apps are designed like casinos to keep you swiping as long as possible. So there's so many things that go into this like fire of like what's going on. People think, okay, I like you, but if I just keep swiping a little bit more, I can find someone I like even more. And then
wow. I'm going to have to watch. I love Diary of the CEO too. So.
Well, he didn't invite me on his podcast now. I like you better.
It's coming. I know it's coming. So let's do, okay. So I know that the app is going to release at the end of this year. Until then, what can we do to kind of get used to it, anticipate it, and where can we find it? Is there a wait list we can go to? Let us know.
Yeah, so we have something called the Soft Launch Society, actually. It's a community of wonderful women. We all talk about what's going on in our dating, and, you get sneak peeks of the app, get to test some features. But if you are wanting to be a part of this community and meet other, women who are actively dating, you can go to waitlist.heylina.ai. And follow us on all our socials, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn.
Awesome. And that's where I found everybody on TikTok. I'm like, can you be on my show?
Shout out to TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. I love me some TikTok. And it's HeyLina on all that social media.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, perfect. Okay. So let's move into our bonus rapid fire. I'm going to give you 4 questions. I'm going to ask them quickly. Give us the first thing that comes to your mind, starting with, what is the most overrated AI or tech trend?
Maybe AI CRMs.
Okay. All right. Okay. What's the most underrated AI tech trend?
Gamma. I think Gamma is highly rated, so that might not be a good one. I'd say anything AI that's uber hyper personalized.
Okay, got it. And then the next would be, what's a book we should all read?
I am really into fiction books.
Okay.
So
okay.
If anyone likes that, I love The Secret Lives of Baba Shaki's Wives.
Okay.
As well, so if you want to check that out,
I'll have to check that one out. And then last, scare us. What is your biggest, boldest prediction?
I predict that the next largest AI company will be a consumer tech company, and it will change the fabric of our daily lives the same way Uber, Airbnb, all of them did. Investors are not checking for that, but they should, because I do think that it's coming.
Awesome. Now, you told us how to join the secret society. That's not what you called it. What's the name of it?
Soft Launch Society.
Soft Launch Society. I love that. So glamorous. But if we want to get in contact with you, how do we find you? Are you on LinkedIn? What are your social handles?
LinkedIn is good. TikTok is good. My LinkedIn is just my name, Briana Longe. TikTok is Brie from HeyLina.
Okay. Yeah. Love that. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Briana, thank you so much for being on our show. Thank you for all that you're doing for all of those out there that are just having so many issues dating and they can't get out of the mud. And you are just making dating easier for everyone. So thank you so much. And thank you for being thoughtful and keeping AI ethics at the front.
Thank you so much, Tamara. I really appreciate you having me on, and I can't wait to hear what the next guest answers my question.
Yes, absolutely. I got your question and it's already ready to give to our next genius.
Awesome. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. And until next time, Lead with AI. Thank you for joining us on Lead with AI. I'll see you next time as we continue bringing you stories that matter in public sector innovation.